Today, I thought I'll briefly speak about India's digital transformation, which has now made waves around the world because of the impact it has had. My own journey with government actually began with BATF when I worked with Ashok Dalwai in trying to improve the city of Bangalore. But I did it from the outside. I was more of an advisory role. But in 2008, I wrote a book called Imagining India, where I talked about digital ID and how it can make a difference to people. And in 2009, the government under then leader Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was the prime minister, invited me to join the government to lead this project in the rank of a cabinet minister. So in July 2009, I left, retired from Infosys, joined the government, and was served for about 4.5 years. And I was given a very simple job. My entire job description was in one line, said give a unique ID to every Indian, but it didn't say how I should do it. So that's when I assembled a team of both officers like Ram Sevak Sharma, Ajay Bhushan Pandey, Ashok Dalwai, and many others, as well as a group of technologists like Shrikant Nadamuni, Pramod Verma, Vivek Raghavan, and so on. So we brought all these people together and did a project to give every person a unique ID. Now, this was a very complicated project because we had no paper. People didn't have birth certificates. There was no way for them to identify themselves. So we had to use biometric deduplication. So we use the face, the address, the face, the biometric fingerprints, and the photograph to establish uniqueness. And nobody had done this before. The largest database so far of such biometric IDs was only about 100 million the US had. But we were trying to do it for 1 billion plus. And nobody had tried this before. But we did a lot of experiments and came to the conclusion that if we have the 10 fingerprints, the iris of both eyes, and a photograph, that would be adequate richness of diversity to establish uniqueness. So we built a very sophisticated platform which was capable of dealing with 1.5 million enrollments. And this data center was based in Bangalore, where Ashok was there. I was based in Bangalore and Delhi, and our administrative office was in Delhi, where I worked with the government. So, but this was not just a technology challenge, it was also a challenge of how do you get a whole country behind something like this. So I had to work with every political party, I had to work with every state government, bank, courts, parliamentarians, judicial activists, journalists. So I met everybody over 1 or 2 years. And finally, we launched this ID in September of 2020. And at peak, we were doing 1.5 million enrollments per day. Now, when I set up this office in the government, I had also made a few requests to the Prime Minister. One, of course, was that I would report directly to him, that there would be a separate cabinet committee to oversee the project. There would be a law. There would be a law. There would be a law to oversee Aadhaar and many other things. And the Prime Minister gracefully agreed to all my requests. And I set a goal of 600 million IDs in 5 years, and we managed to do that in 4.5 years, at which point I stepped down. And then subsequently in July of 2014, I met Prime Minister Modi, who was also a very keen technology enthusiast, who also saw the power of Aadhaar and continued it with full vigor. So today, Aadhaar has about 1.3 billion people on it, and it's used about 80 million times a day for authentication. So across the country, it's used by everyone for authentication. And we also came up with the concept of KYC, which is Know Your Customer. this Prime Minister Modi had the scheme where called Prime Minister's Jan Dhan Yojana program, and they went on a mission of financial inclusion of everybody. And today we have more than 700 million or 70 crore Aadhaar linked bank accounts, which so in India did in 8 years or 9 years, what would normally have taken 45 years. And the Aadhaar KYC, which electronically allowed you to open an account in 2 minutes, was the reason that you could do this at a very fast pace. So that's how financial inclusion was done. And then when Jio was launched by Mr. Ambani in 2016, they used Aadhaar KYC to enroll 1 million mobile customers a day. So today we have what is called the JAM Trinity: Jandan, Aadhaar, Mobile. Jandan is the bank account, Aadhaar is the digital ID, mobile is the mobile phone. And we think these three things, these three numbers are required for everyone to do their tasks. And then we also connected, because we had connected the Aadhaar to the bank account, we could do direct benefit transfer. So today we have these 700 million Aadhaar linked bank accounts, and either the government or a family member can use this to send money to anybody in real time. And India has transferred more than $300 billion using this platform. And it is the basis of all cash transfer in India. And it has changed the face of benefit transfer, because earlier benefits, it was very difficult to reach it to the people. There was a lot of diversion and so on. And now it goes electronically in real time into people's bank accounts, and they're able to do that. And many schemes you see today in different state governments announcing, all of them, the basic plumbing they use is the Aadhaar linked payment bridge to transfer money. So it's really become a very core infrastructure for the country. But it was not sufficient for us to transfer money. We also had to have people to withdraw money. And there again, we used Aadhaar authentication at a business correspondent. Somebody could go to a BC in a village, do an Aadhaar authentication, withdraw 500 rupees from his bank account, and the BC would give the money. And on the system, it would debit the customer's account and credit the merchant's, the BC's account. So it was a way of creating what we call as a micro ATM. And there are a few million of them today. So everyone in India is within a few, maybe a kilometer of a BC. And therefore, we completely changed the whole way of how money flow happens in the system. And then we realized that it is not sufficient to do cash in and cash out. We also have to do pure digital payments. And that's how the idea of UPI was born. And UPI was built by NPCI, the National Payment Corporation of India, which is a fantastic organization that was just set up 16 years back. And this organization built UPI between 2013 and 2016 and launched it in 2016. So 2016 has been a defining year in India's digital journey. On April 4th, 2016, Aadhaar, we reached 1 billion Aadhaars, 100 crore Aadhaars in India. On April 11, 2016, UPI was launched by the Reserve Bank of India governor. On September 5th, 2016, Jio was launched, and that led to a mobile transformation of data. And then on November 8, 2016, we had the demonetization of currency notes. And 29 December 2016 was the launch of the BHIM app by the Prime Minister. So in the space of 9 months, many different things came together, which led to this digital transformation. And today, UPI does about 16 billion or 160 crore transactions a month. And it is used by 400 million active users. And there are about 50 million merchants, including coconut vendors, roadside, people selling vegetables in a cart. Everybody uses UPI. And this has transformed the country in a very big way. So all these things sort of were layers and layers of technology that were built on top of everything. They also, the government and the Ram Sevak launched the DigiLocker, which allows us to keep our documents on the phone or on the cloud. And today, more than 300 million people, 30 crore people use DigiLocker to keep their Aadhaar card, their vaccination certificate, their driver's license, their college degree certificate, and so on and so forth. So that's the way. So if in effect, the phone has become everything, you can keep your uh, documents on the phone, and you can pay from your phone. So you don't need anything else. You don't need anything else in your pocket except the phone. And this was a huge thing. And then we had to come out with a way where people can use their own data to improve their lives. And that's how in 2016, the RBI came out with a directive to create account aggregators, which allowed people to use their own data. And today that system has been rolled out. And so a small business can use their digital data from the transactions and get access to a loan and so on. And already under this account aggregator system, India is doing about $1 billion of loans a month. And this is just the beginning of the journey of account aggregator. And this is another important system that is getting rolled out. And then, of course, we also allowed for digital signatures using your Aadhaar and many other things of that nature, which made a big difference. So that's what happened on one side, but on the other side, we also had the GST was coming. The GST has been going on for some time, but in 2012, then Finance Minister Mr. Pranab Mukherjee asked me to come out with a way of doing GST as a single tax platform for the country. So I chaired a committee which came out with the suggestion to create a company called GSTN, which was jointly owned by the state governments and the central government. For the first time, we had a company owned by state and central governments, which built the technology for that, which later on Infosys built it actually. By that time, I was in the government, we created this company, and we are able to create a digital tax collection system for GST around the country, where everybody paid online and the money went directly either to the bank account of the central government or the account of the state government, both of whom had accounts in the RBI. So this made a big push on formalization of our businesses. Today, we are 12 million out of in India, we have about 65 million small businesses, including single person businesses. 12 million of them are in the GST system. So about 20% of our businesses are on GST, and they file their returns and file invoices and take credits and all. It's very sophisticated system. And as you have seen, because of the GST and the technology behind it, our tax collections have been going on. At the same time, the income tax system also has been fully automated digitally. So India is one of the few countries in the world where both the direct income tax and indirect GST are both fully automated. And this has also helped in increasing tax collections. And today, India has the highest tax to GDP ratio in the world. I mean, India has the highest tax to GDP ratio in its history because of the collections are getting much better because of technology. I was also involved with the definition of FASTag. In 2010, I was requested by then Road Transport Minister, Mr. Kamal Nath, to come up with a system for road toll collection. And I designed the FASTag system using RFID tags. And today, this system is used on the highways. As you know, you just have your car drives there, it reads the tag, and you go through it traces the thing, and you go through, and it debits your account. And this system does about 2.5 billion or 250 crore transactions a year. And this also has made our highways more monetizable, because now there's no leakage of money. All the money is collected through FASTag, which makes them bankable. And therefore, our road authorities are able to monetize these roads and sell them to long-term investors and then reinvest the capital in building new roads. So FASTag, apart from the efficiency of movement on highways, has also enabled the ability to make road projects more bankable in India. So that's again something which has happened thanks to something which we designed 15 years back. So these are all different pieces of what we did to make India a digitally forward nation. Now, a few things that are happening now. One is, of course, ONDC, Open Network for Digital Commerce, which allows people to anyone to sell to anybody from any app and through any supplier. ONDC is another company which is a non-profit company set up by DPIIT, and they do about 15 million transactions a month, but I'm hopeful that will rise. We also seen new models of mobility like Namayatri, where instead of going through an aggregator, you pay directly to the driver and he gets the full amount in real time. And that is another example of how open networks can make a difference. And now we are applying this open network thinking to energy, because now with rooftop solar, we're going to have millions of homes generating energy, and every home will have a two-wheeler or four-wheeler EV. So they have a battery in their house. So in tomorrow's distributed world, every home is a producer of energy, consumer of energy, buyer and seller of energy, storer of energy. And this requires a whole new architecture for our entire grid. And that requires open networks. So some of the work we are doing called Unified Energy Interface is to make open networks for energy. Another area which, of course, everybody is very keen on is AI. And what does AI mean for us? In India, we are hoping to be the AI use case capital of the world, because we're going to be using AI in a big way. We're already using AI for language. I've supported something called AI for Bharat, which supports, which provides the open data for 22 Indian languages, which can then be used for language translation or speech to text or text to speech. And we're already using this in many cases. For example, the PM Kisan scheme, which transfers DBT to farmers, also has a chatbot where anybody can speak to the system in any language of their choice and ask questions about what is happening to their money. And this is live, and lakhs of people are already using this application. Another example of AI is what's coming up in agriculture. The Ministry of Agriculture, Ashok has been part of that. It has built something called Vistar, or Open Agri Network, which will allow all agri knowledge at the fingertips of the farmer. And the farmer can talk to the phone in Hindi or Tamil or Gujarati or whatever language they want, and get all the best information across the system. And the idea is that all this is part of the improving the farmer productivity so that they're able to increase their incomes. That is all using AI. Another very exciting use case of AI will be in education. As you know, one of the challenges we have is we still have a large number of children who are not able to read or write even in their native tongue. And that they're also not able to do basic arithmetic. And that's a huge bottleneck, because if they don't have those basic skills, they're not able to participate in the modern world. So we have built a AI-led platform, which is currently being rolled out in 6,000 schools in Tamil Nadu, where using AI, people are able to practice their Tamil and then their English, and also basic numeracy. And this is showing very interesting, good results. And 5 other states have signed up for rolling this out across their states. So this again is all examples of use of AI. So I think what we are seeing today is a massive transformation. We are seeing everyone is digitally enabled. They have the devices. They're able to do all these things. And poor people have taken to it faster than the well-off, because they're seeing the value of it. There are many places today where if you try to pay with cash, they will not let you pay. They ask you to pay with UPI. So that's the behavior change that has happened in a matter of 6-7 years. I mean, if you think of 2016 as a defining year, 8 years later in 2024, the country is transformed. Also, what you're seeing is the formalization of India. Earlier, India had a few people, maybe 10-20 million people who paid income tax, maybe 40 million people who had a passport, and the vast majority were outside the system. But what this digital revolution has done is it has brought everybody into society. So a person in a village without an ID can now get an ID. With the ID, they can get a bank account. With the ID, they can get a mobile connection. They can borrow some money from their friends and start a small shop. Then using the digital footprint of their payments with UPI, they can get a loan, and then they can grow the companies and so on. And we have made it very simple for people to join society and participate. And the value of the data which they're able to use to get access to services makes it, gives them the benefit of joining the society. So this is really about large scale formalization of a country. And also by using Indian language AI, we are making sure that we are not limiting the access to technology to only to people who know English. Today, anyone using voice AI in Hindi or Tamil or Gujarati or Oriya can now participate. So it's also about driving massive inclusion through technology. So I think this is a unique model in the world. No other country has done this. In the United States, technology is completely left to the market. And then you also end up having a lot of large market players. And today the government is saying, how do we deal with this? Europe is highly over-regulated. So there are regulations for everything. It's very difficult to do, everything. There's some bottleneck. In China, they've essentially created a society where the government is keeping tabs on everyone. So it's more of a surveillance model. It's only in India where we have used technology for inclusion, technology for empowerment, technology for formalization, technology for economic growth, technology for improving productivity, and found the right balance between regulation and innovation. Because everything that we have done in India, while it is very innovative, is also fully working with regulators and banks and government. So it's a combination of regulation and innovation. Another important part of what we have done is the architecture of India's digital infrastructure is based on the premise of public rails and private innovation. In other words, we enable the rail. So Aadhaar was a rail that verified ID. UPI is a rail that made payments possible free at scale. But on top of that, people can build applications to innovate. So if you look at UPI, for example, the biggest companies on UPI are Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm, Slice, and Beam, and so on. So they've all built on top of that. Aadhaar KYC is used by banks, by broking companies, by everybody. ONDC, we have many applications on. The FASTags are issued by different banks. There's not just one agency doing something, it's creating an ecosystem of players who all come together and can innovate on top of that. And now this has gained great demand globally. We have a program now to take, we call this thinking as digital public infrastructure, a way to do digital transformation at population scale by having public rails and private innovation. And this idea now has been accepted globally. The UN has come out with UN, World Bank, IMF, everybody now is talking about this. And we have a plan to take DPI to 50 countries in 5 years. We already have about 20 countries around the world which are using some form of DPI, whether it's ID or payments or whatever. So this is something which is, in some sense, intellectual leadership of the world, thought leadership of creating something which the world recognizes and is using. And so we hope in the next few years that this will go out globally. So I will stop here because there's many more things, but I wanted to convey to you that the Indian journey of digital transformation, which has been more than 15 years, we have been at this journey, has touched every person in the country, every person getting an ID, every person getting a bank account, every person getting a mobile phone, every person paying digitally, every person going through the highway with FASTag. So these are actually not just something inside some room. These are directly in people's lives, and people's lives are changing for the better, and we're getting big response. And we think this is also making the economy more inclusive because everybody can participate. And therefore, it's not a model of just a few people benefiting, but the economy becoming inclusive. And that's what is happening. And we are only maybe 3/4 of the way on the journey. There are many more things happening which will come out in the next few years. But India's digital transformation is also leading to India's transformation. So with this, I will stop here, Ashok, and I'm happy to take questions from everybody.